Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the lives of Shamsud-Din, the terrorist who attacked on Bourbon Street using a pickup truck as well as an explosive with an ISIS flag on the back, and Matthew Lavensberger, who used a Cybertruck with built-in explosives and pipe bombs inside of that. So just to kind of give you guys an overview, or essentially the details you probably already heard at this point in time. We understand that Shamsud-Din was responsible for the horrifying terror attack on the 1st of 2025 in New Orleans. He drove a truck into a crowded area on Bourbon Street and Canal Street, killing now confirmed 16 people and injuring 35 others. After crashing the truck, Jabbar exited the vehicle and opened fire on the police before being neutralized. The subsequent investigation revealed that he was equipped with additional firearms, a bomb, and was found to have an ISIS flag in his truck, suggesting a radical Islamic motive. The FBI confirmed that Jabbar was inspired by the Islamic State, indicating a pattern of lone wolf jihadist terrorism. Now, Jabbar, the perpetrator of the New Orleans terror attacks, resided in a dilapidated trailer park home in Houston, Texas. His living conditions were notably poor, with sheep, goats, and chickens roaming freely around his property. Neighbors observed that Jabbar's home was just blocks away from a local mosque. Highlighting his deep religious ties before the attack, Jabbar faced significant financial hardships, including at least 3 divorces and personal struggles with his real estate business, which may have contributed to his radicalization. It always at the person's lowest point of their life where people are being radicalized. You never see, at least I haven't, a millionaire or a billionaire being radicalized, or someone who is financially stable, or someone who goes through some sort of personal psychological trauma or financial struggles. So I want you to look at this quick clip of this reporter at his home here. Let's see if we can pop this up for you guys. I don't know if you guys saw this quick clip, but bear with me here. Here we go.
Here with the New York Post. We are here in Houston, Texas. This is the home of the terror suspect in the New Orleans attack. We are here this morning just after the FBI did a joint raid on the home. Yesterday, this was completely enclosed. There were individuals home who later came out when the FBI showed up and told people to come out with their hands up. But before that, we weren't able to access the home. Some of the neighbors said they had interacted with the suspect, describing him as normal, said hi when they would walk by. This is a majority Muslim community. It's a small enclosed street. The home actually, interestingly enough, and I don't think they're out today, but there were sheep, goats in the yard here. There's chickens all kind of roaming around the side. Again, didn't see anyone come out yesterday until law enforcement showed up, but we had some suspicion that someone was home because there were 3 cars there. More to come on this, but we're learning just about this individual, how he was radicalized after serving in the military.
Now, I think what's also notable to note is that they will probably be doing an investigation on that local mosque to see if there's any terrorist ties of him being radicalized from the Islamic State of ISIS back in the Middle East, to see if there's any connections there. So look out for more information when it comes to that case altogether. So let's move on to the Cybertruck killer, or the Cybertruck terrorist, also known as Matthew Lavensberger, okay? They're kind of blocking the site here, but here's a picture of Matthew Lavensberger. He identified as the individual behind the Tesla, Cybertruck attack or explosion outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, and had a history of troubling behavior. Friends of his first wife, Sarah, described him as a bizarre and unhealthy, alleging that he preyed on her vulnerabilities and mocked her struggles with depression. And their relationship, marked by instability and contrasting political views, ended in divorce in 2018. It gets more confusing than that. So they got divorced in 2018. And in the days leading up to the Las Vegas explosion, Lavensberger contacted his ex-girlfriend, Alicia Tritt, boasting about renting a Tesla Cybertruck. He expressed excitement, stating that the driving the vehicle made him feel like Batman. This communication occurred shortly after he left his home following a confrontation with his wife over alleged infidelity. And there's the stigma, here's the stereotype that a lot of people have about military members. It doesn't matter if you're from the Marine Corps, like myself, or the Army, like myself, or the Navy, or the Air Force, or Coast Guard, or anything that protects America. They believe, a lot of people just believe that military personnel, we all just have a violent source or a violent form of PTSD, whether if we deployed or not, just be in the environment or being trained as a soldier to defend America for foreign and domestic threats. Where I'm here to tell the American citizens, as well as the veterans, majority of veterans, 99% of veterans are perfectly fine. Some may suffer from PTSD, but nothing to the extent where it will radicalize you to take a Cybertruck or a pickup truck and kill innocent Americans or innocent citizens or innocent people that are in America. That's not the way we are trained. So those people, if you notice, even him himself went through a divorce. He wasn't doing so well. So when we look at these two individuals here, first of all, the FBI came out and stated that there seems to be no connection, that this is a coincidence. Now, again, some people are saying, well, this is too much of a coincidence. They kind of did it the same day. They both rented the vehicles from the same app. Again, it's a popular app that people rent vehicles. I'm not here to say, is there a link or not? Nothing, information came out saying that he was radicalized by ISIS. So again, it may just be these isolated attacks that they both did it because they knew majority of the people were going to be out during this day. And again, he did this for whatever reason. We'll get into that because the communication occurred shortly after he left his home following a confrontation with his ex-wife over alleged infidelity. So maybe they was having conversations about how their marriage ended, but sources revealed that Livenberger's wife ended their relationship just days before the explosion. So on one account, he divorced his first wife. And this is that's why it gets kind of convoluted, gets kind of confusing. I'm trying to find out the information that if he was married a second time, because both of these individuals have been married more than one time. So I would like to believe that this is his second wife. But nonetheless, days before this attack, the explosion outside of Trump International Hotel, their breakup stemmed from her discovery of his infidelity, leading to a heated argument after Christmas. Now, following their separation, Livenberger rented the Cybertruck and traveled to Las Vegas. Now, you heard me say girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, and you heard me say wife. That's why I say that there's a lot of people involved in how Livenberger came to these very heinous, chaotic attacks that over several people got injured. And thank God no one became unalive from that. But he traveled to Las Vegas where he ultimately detonated the truck and took his own life. And this is an Army active soldier who was a Green Beret. Now, both Jabbar and Livenberger had military backgrounds, having served at Fort Bragg and been deployed to Afghanistan in 2009. Now, despite these similarities, the FBI has found no definitive link between their actions. These incidents occurring on the same day have raised concerns about the mental health and well-being of the veterans, as well as the potential for radicalization. I've been saying this a very long time publicly, that before someone is deployed, no matter what service they're a part of, there needs to be a psych eval. Only certain individuals that are part of certain groups get psych eval, but the majority of Marines and or soldiers, they don't go through a psych eval before they deploy, because I believe there needs to be an established baseline of thought and ideology before they go to the Middle East, before they go to Afghanistan, before they go to Iran or Iraq rather. And when they come back, they do a post-psychological evaluation to see if they changed in any matter because of the conflicts or skirmishes they may have encountered while in combat. But I don't know if that's been done on a wide scale. But again, I think that needs to be implemented inside the military, where you have a psych eval before and you have a psych eval after. And that way they can establish a baseline. If a lot of military members are walking around with how can I state this? Unchecked PTSD, where they could potentially get the help and support that they need. Now, there are psychological evaluations as you are separating and or retiring, but I haven't seen nothing except for elite groups who go over there to do said missions before they go. But there definitely need to be a baseline that happens with that as well. Now, lastly, I want to talk about Liz Cheney. Because, let me finish with this train of thought, because both perpetrators rented their vehicles through Turo, T-U-R-O, a peer-to-peer car sharing platform. Now, these incidents have prompted scrutiny over Turo's screening processes and raised questions about the platform's responsibility in preventing the misuse of rented vehicles of malicious purposes. And of course, Turo has expressed shock and is cooperating with law enforcement investigations. I don't think nothing is wrong with Turo. I never use it, but I don't think nothing is wrong. These two gentlemen were both Army veterans, or one was active Army, one was an Army veteran. They both were American citizens, and they rented the trucks legally. So if you would have rented from Enterprise or Hertz or any other car rental place, what would have been the significance of that? Oh, well, we have to check your background to see if you have any terrorist ties to jihadist groups and ISIS, or if you've been radicalized, or if you going through some sort of psychological hurt from your past relationships that going to have you to explode a Cybertruck in front of Trump International Hotel. No app, no business is doing that. So again, I don't know why they thought that was pertinent. Now, authorities continue to investigate both incidents to understand the motives and prevent future occurrences. The communities affected by these tragedies are grappling with grief, and most are seeking answers for these terrorist attacks. Now, these events underscore importance of mental health support for veterans and the need for vigilance against domestic terrorism, which unfortunately America has. And that really needs to stop altogether. Now, when we come to Liz Cheney, to give you guys a background, let me pop up a picture of Liz Cheney, if I will. Give me 1 second in case some of you guys are not familiar with Liz Cheney. I'll pop up a picture of Liz Cheney very quickly. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second as I pop up a picture of Liz Cheney. Okay, now this is Liz Cheney. Now, what's significant about Liz Cheney and why you've been hearing a lot about her in the news, with the exception of her recent presidential medal, but Donald Trump's political feud with Liz Cheney is rooted deeply in their differing views on several key issues, mostly the events surrounding the January 6, 2021 Capitol riots, Capitol attacks, Capitol insurrection, Capitol protests, however you want to label it, and their broader implication on democracy altogether. Now, Liz Cheney was one of the few Republicans, she's a Republican, leaders who publicly broke ranks with Trump over the January 6th Capitol riot. She voted to impeach Trump, citing his role in inciting the riot, and has been very vocally critical of his actions and rhetoric that she argues undermine the democratic process. Now, her stance was met with a lot of backlash from Trump and many of his ardent supporters, who view her actions as a betrayal to the party and to Trump's leadership altogether. Now, Cheney represents a more traditional conservative approach, emphasizing the rule of law, traditional conservative values, and a strong foreign policy. Now, in contrast, Trump has reshaped the Republican Party around his brand of populism, which often floats traditional conservative norms and focuses on personal loyalty and aggressive nationalism. Cheney's criticism of Trump's approach and her call for a return to traditional Republican values have intensified their conflict. Now, Trump's efforts to target Cheney are also seen as a move to consolidate control over the Republican Party and punish those who oppose him. Now, by going after Cheney, Trump signals to other Republicans the potential consequences of dissent within the party ranks. It serves as both a strategy to reaffirm his influence with the GOP and a warning to others who may think of opposing him. Now, I stated this earlier in political honors. President Joe Biden awarded Presidential Citizens Medal to a former Republican Congresswoman, Liz Cheney. And Cheney was recognized for a role in the congressional investigation of the January 6th protests. As you notice, I'm interchangeably changing the words from attack, insurrection, and protest because from whatever group you may represent, you may find it offensive if I just label it one way or another. Now, this award highlights her dedication to upholding democratic principle despite facing significant political backlash within her party. And this is why I was calling for Liz Cheney to ask for a preemptive pardon for Joe Biden. Because this is one of the things that I believe that Donald Trump will not let lie. He would not let this go. So I think it's in her best personal interest to get a preemptive pardon from Joe Biden while he's still in office and while he still have the cognitive ability to do so. Now, with that being said, I want to lead over to something else because I spoke about this in my earlier broadcast about how certain demographics of people believe that any Black person, any Black American in a high status position, and again, this is not to bring race into it, but this may be profound and significant for some viewers to understand the contributions that Black Americans have, because mass media and legacy media have put a bad disdain and perception and imagery of Black Americans that all of us are either incapable, we're stupid, we're dumb, anything that we've been hired or that we have contributed to society was from affirmative action, civil rights, and DEI altogether, that we have no personal attributes or no personal contributions to this country in any form or fashion. So people may not value Black life the way they do other said groups. So with that being said, I want to bring your attention over to a young man named by the name of Ron Carter. You guys may not be familiar with him, but I am, because Ron Carter is the one who created the Ring doorbell. And we all know that the Ring doorbell, a home security device that has revolutionized how Americans monitor their property remotely via smartphones, enhancing personal safety and property security. The Ring doorbell has not only become a staple in modern homes, but also set the stage for advancement in smart home technology and neighborhood connectivity. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I used to have a Ring. I got another one now. I think I have UFI. I changed my technology as it goes. And now he's also inventing where they already kind of implement some sort of AI device where it has AI detection. But Ron Carter, and if you guys are not familiar with the brother's picture, this is Ron Carter right here. Who is Ron Carter? And I didn't want to go through my 500 list of inventions that Black Americans have created and invented, and again, modernize society as we know it. Not only, but assisted the modernization of society and contribute to America altogether. I didn't want to do that. But again, I think the people need to know the contributions that we've made. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Emmett McHenry. I've stated this before. They also called him Mr. because he is a trailblazing founder of the network solutions where he created the world's first domain name registry service, also known as DNS. Now, his innovations made it possible for individuals like you and I and organizations to own personalized website and addresses, paving the way to modern internet era. Now, Emmett contributions have led a very profound impact on global communications, commerce, and the digital landscape, giving millions access to a more organized and navigable web. And he's been with the likes of Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, but that's not just it. It states here that he initially focused on systems engineering and software development. The company won a contract from the National Science Foundation in 1991 to manage the registration of domain names, a monumental step in shaping the digital landscape. Under McHenry's leadership, Network Solutions became the primary entity responsible for registering the .com, the .net, and the .org domains, facilitating the rapid growth of the internet in the 1990s. And again, a lot of people like to believe that we have not made any contributions. I don't want to get into the potato chip or the peanut or the ice cream or the refrigerator truck or blood transfusion or separating Siamese twins. I can go on and on and on the contributions of Black Americans to this country. As I stated before, we love this country. This is our country. So when people tell Black Americans to go back to their country, I looked them right in the eye and said, you fucking go first. Excuse my language. Because here's the thing, we don't adopt the term of African American the same way that people who are here from Germany, Great Britain, Italy, they don't go around and call themselves European American. They just say I'm American, just as well as we do. And if they need to isolate based upon their demographics, then they say I'm a white American. So in those terms, I'm American. Let me move on here. This is very important. I'm going to read some other things about Emmett McHenry. Now, it goes on to state right here, after the government received and reviewed several proposals, Network Solutions were granted the contract with the National Science Foundation to create and manage the world's first domain name register service. Back then, the internet's commercial potential hadn't been realized. It wasn't until Emmett McHenry created a complex code which allowed any person the ability to search the internet and use email services without having to study and be knowledgeable in computer programming. McHenry did the work for us, officially creating what we know as the .com, .net, .gov, .edu, allowing us to communicate through the internet. And I can get on the cell phone, certain parts of the cell phone signaling. There's so many contributions that Black Americans have made, not only to America, but for the entire world. And we all know Garrett A. Morgan. He created the smoke hood, also known today as the gas mask. Last but not least, our sister, Dr. Patricia Bath. Now, she invented the laser phyco probe. Now, this was a groundbreaking device that improved cataract surgery. Her innovation used laser technology to remove cataracts with precision, restoring vision to millions worldwide. As the first Black woman to receive a medical patent, Dr. Bath not only transformed the eye surgery field, but also inspired generations of medical professionals and inventors. Her contributions to healthcare have had a lasting impact on improving quality of life for the entire globe. Now, we know these innovations exemplify the excellence of Black people and have significantly shaped technology, healthcare, and the digital world, leaving a very viable mark on American society and beyond. And what's so significant about this, her inventions also led to, we know today as, LASIK surgery, where people are getting correct eye surgery. And there were some other things that you guys can go and research her, but I want to understand that anytime a Black person in America invents or creates something, some of the trials and tribulations that we go through. Let me blow this up for you guys. She was asked, what was your biggest obstacle? She said, sexism and racism. Not only was she Black, but she was a female. We already know how the system of white supremacy and white adjacent nationalists treat people of a dark melanated hue. It goes on to state, and relative property were the obstacles which I faced as a young girl growing up in Harlem, New York. Despite official university policies, listen to this, despite official university policy extolling equality and condemning discrimination, Patricia Bath experienced both sexism and racism during her tenure at both UCLA and Drew. Determined that her research not be obstructed by the glass ceilings, she took her research abroad to Europe, where her research was accepted on its merits. And at the Laser Medical Center of Berlin in West Germany, the Rothschild Eye Institute of Paris, France, and the Londonderry, England Institute of Technology. At those institutions, she's excelled in research in laser science, the fruits of which are evidenced by her patents for laser eye surgery. She said, how do I make a difference? I am most proud of my invention of a new technique and concept for cataract surgery known as laser phyco, which is defined by my publication as well as my patents. That is our sister, Dr. Patricia E. Bath. Shout out goes to that sister. Unfortunately, she is no longer with her. But I just had to point those things out to you, family, because I know a lot of times people always have things to say when Black folk are on TV that is non-entertainment. They're not a comedian. They're not an athlete. They're not an actor or anything like that. They are on TV because of their hard work and merits. Are there some people who are DEI affirmative action hires as well as civil rights hires? Absolutely. But I can tell you this, most of the people you're referring to are not Black American. There's usually something else. I wonder if it has something to do with H-1B visas. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. This is Black Logic.